Tonight, Scots stranded in delays and disruption following a fire which closed Heathrow Airport. 1,400 flights around the world are cancelled.
I really need to get home today because tomorrow's my wife's birthday, so we've had to rebook alternative flights via Paris.
Also making the headlines, the consequences of unregulated cosmetic injections. We hear from a woman who says she's been scarred for life. The brother of a Scottish sailor jailed in Bahrain says he's the victim of a miscarriage of justice and hopes for a royal pardon to free him. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. Scotland football fans trying to return home from Greece are among more than 200,000 people caught up in delays and disruption from the closure of Heathrow Airport. A massive fire at an electrical substation broke out late last night and forced Britain's busiest airport to shut down for much of the day. Counter-terror officers are now involved, given the location of the incident and the widespread consequences. Here's our senior reporter, Gordon Cree.
They'd watched a win over Greece, but many members of the Tartan army are now spending longer in Athens than anticipated.
Woke up this morning to the news that Heathrow was closed. Wasn't expecting that. So me and my friend managed to rebook on other flights now. We're travelling home via Paris rather than Heathrow. Upset outlay for the flights. Hopefully we'll get some of that back from our travel insurance. But the reason we need to hurry and get back is tomorrow's my wife's birthday.
At Heathrow, planes were grounded. The airport closed as a result of the fire, leaving the whole area without power. Counter-terrorism officers are leading the investigation, but say they're keeping an open mind. Experts believe there needs to be more resilience in the system.
People will be saying, well, how can you have a single point of failure? You've got to have some resilience. This is the most critical piece of transport infrastructure in Europe. It has to work, and when it doesn't, everything is extremely serious for passengers in Scotland and strewn around the rest of the world.
Nearly 1,400 flights all around the world have been cancelled. With services between Heathrow and Scottish airports suspended, that meant passengers waiting for onward travel were stranded. This was Glasgow.
We'd like to just know what to go, what to do. If we get into London, is the Heathrow going to be open tomorrow? Can we get a flight out? Can we get a place to stay tonight?
We've got 12 people we're trying to get on a flight and, trying to make connected flights, and nothing seems to be working out.
We are really just in limbo, waiting, hoping for something to open up for us. So if you know a pilot with a private plane that'll take us to Helsinki, we'd love that.
Connor from Edinburgh was in New York for a conference. He boarded his plane home, but it never took off.
We are a party of 7, and one of our colleagues was on a separate flight. They'd left an hour earlier than us, and they were on the flight mid-air. The plane turned around and came back, and nobody on the flight had been informed, including the cabin crew. The only reason people clocked it was that we had sent messages forward saying, hey, Heathrow's shut.
Passengers on European airlines or flying within Europe will be rebooked on the first alternative flights available. Those coming from further afield on other carriers may have to claim on travel insurance, as once again our critical dependence on aviation is underlined.
Obviously, huge disruption today, Gordon. How's it looking over the weekend?
Well, John, we have been here before. Remember the Icelandic ash cloud, the air traffic control failure, the botched software update with CrowdStrike. Each and every time, huge disruption to air travel. And what it all means is planes out of position around the globe. So as it shakes out, it could be several days before things get back to normal. Here at Edinburgh Airport, they are asking anyone with a booking for a BA flight to Heathrow to check with the airline before coming to the terminal. John.
Gordon, thank you. The business of Botox and dermal fillers is booming, but as they grow in popularity, so too grow safety concerns. Botox is a prescription-only medication, but there's no legislation stopping unqualified individuals from administering it. The result? A surge in unregulated Botox parties. For many, the cheap options seem too good to pass up, but the consequences, as one woman has been telling STV, can be life-changing. Caitlin Hutchison reports.
This area here, there was quite a lump there, so there was pus just pouring out of it. This side here erupted on its own, so I did try and put makeup on to cover it up, but there's 2 eruptions.
It was a painful lesson in It's Too Good to Be True, and you get what you pay for.
Got a special offer and yeah, lived to regret it.
Donna's first time getting Botox in years, drawn in by a Facebook ad boasting bargain prices. But what she received turned out to be bogus and left her with a huge infection and lumps on both sides of her face.
Actually, when I was there, I felt the blood coming down my face, and then both sides of my face swelled up into like a boil. I'm going to be scarred for life now. There's nothing I can do about that.
Professionals working in the sector say they see cases like Donna's on a daily basis and have accused the government of turning a blind eye.
We know that the people administering the treatments in these places have no medical qualifications. We know that very often the patients are treated without seeing a prescriber, so there is no valid prescription for the medications they are being treated with. There is no other country in Europe, any state in America or any state in Australia that currently allows non-healthcare professionals to perform these procedures.
Dr. Darren believes the lack of regulation has led to an explosion of cosmetic cowboys, and the rise of so-called Botox parties, which often involve alcohol, isn't helping.
No regulated healthcare professional would ever perform treatments in the context of a party setting. It's not safe, it's not ethical, and frankly, it's a national disgrace that it's allowed to go on.
Is it the case that we've created a situation where you're now performing a sort of balancing act between business interests and public safety?
I think every piece of legislation is a balancing act, which is why it is so important to engage with those that are providing the services, but also the general public that are accessing. We have to get it right. You can't just bring in legislation quickly. You have to have the right evidence and support to ensure that it is correctly brought in.
Health Improvement Scotland says anyone considering Botox or fillers should first check their register of regulated clinics, a mistake Donna will never make again.
It should be medics that are administering Botox. That's the issue here. It's not the Botox, because actually as a treatment it works really well when it's done right.
Caitlin Hutchison, STV News.
The brother of a Scottish sailor jailed in Bahrain after breaking up a street fight believes he is a victim of a miscarriage of justice and is pleading for help to secure a royal pardon. Owen Haggerty from Renfrewshire has been sentenced to 3 months after being convicted of assault. The 22-year-old's relatives say they feel totally helpless and fear for his mental health. Raheem Cham has more.
Jack Haggerty was due to see his brother Owen after a 4-month training camp with the British Royal Navy in Bahrain. But instead, Owen was arrested hours before his planned departure when the 22-year-old tried to break up a fight.
So Owen was facing a completely different way. He's heard noise in the background. Owen has then seen a gentleman who has been bleeding. Owen has then pushed back the perpetrators and then turned around and helped the gentleman on the ground.
Detained for 5 weeks and charged with assault, Owen has now been sentenced to 3 months in prison. The family claim he hasn't been given the chance to fight his case.
The night that it did happen, Owen was shown CCTV, but Owen's the only person who has seen this, along with 2 police officers. So we were holding on to the hope that in court on Wednesday at the last hearing, that we would get to see the CCTV and it would clear his name. The hearing lasted 10 seconds. No mention of CCTV, no mention of anything other than the fact that he'd been given 12 weeks and that was it.
Jack saw his brother at the hearing and says he has been wearing the same clothes for 6 weeks and his mental health is in decline. A Royal Navy spokesperson said they are working with the British Embassy in Bahrain and in regular contact with Bahrain's law enforcement authorities. Owen's family are now pinning their hopes on a royal pardon that may avoid him serving the next 12 weeks in prison.
This is going to mentally scar him for the rest of his life. The British Embassy said yesterday that as a family we could request a royal pardon. It happens at the end of Eid. It's where the king basically sees requests. As a family we are pleading with the foreign ministers or someone high up to help with this royal pardon to get on out.
Raheem Cham, STV News.
A former head gamekeeper is to stand trial next year accused of shooting a man to death. 76-year-old David Campbell allegedly killed 65-year-old Brian Lowe in a lane in Aberfeldy in Perthshire in February last year. The charges state Mr Campbell allegedly discharged a shotgun at Mr Lowe, leaving him so severely hurt he died at the scene. A trial is set to begin in February 2026 and should last for 3 weeks. A climate activist has been jailed for 16 months after chaining himself to pipes containing explosive hydrocarbons at the Grangemouth oil refinery in July 2023. Samuel Griffiths claimed he committed a pro-social crime during the demonstration. A sheriff told Griffiths he had disregarded the safety of others. Fellow protester Jack Rennie was sentenced to 300 hours of unpaid work and placed on supervision for 2 years after pleading guilty to padlocking himself to a pipe. Firefighters are warning of devastating wildfires as a dry spell continues. It follows a fire on Kilpatrick Hills in Dumbarton yesterday. 4 appliances were mobilised and the fire was extinguished this morning. The Scottish Fire and Rescue Service has issued a very high-risk danger assessment for low-lying areas. Fires also broke out across parts of the Highlands. The SNP has won 2 council seats from Labour after by-elections in Glasgow. Mary Hunter was declared the winner in the Southside Central Ward and Donna McGill won the North East Ward. The results strengthen the SNP's position as the local authority's biggest group. When plans to scrap council funding for Dalmuir Golf Course were announced, the community was left devastated. But after public support from some of the most famous golfers in the world and the determination of lifelong members, the local club is planning a takeover. Tara Fitzpatrick has more.
It served the area for almost a century. For generations, Dalmuir Golf Club has operated as an accessible entry to the sport for its largely working class community.
I've been playing here for as long as I can remember. I've been a full member since I was about 9 or 10 years old. It means a lot to me. I know it means a lot to the members as well. It probably means a wee bit more to me as well because all the memories I have playing down with my dad and my brother and get lifelong friends.
But it's battled against years of closure threats, and now West Dunbartonshire Council has axed the course's funding.
It's the only beautiful resource that this town's got. It goes back generations. It's a place where, you know, we try and reduce social isolation by this golf course. You've got young people who use it, you've got elderly people who use it.
We know it's a valuable asset to the community, and I've played here myself in team matches. The folk that play here, the enthusiasm for this club is fantastic.
Members of Clydebank and Overton Golf Club are now on a takeover mission and are organising a community asset transfer of the course. They hope to return the facility to its glory days.
My ideal scenario would be that the trust is in place, the golf course is blooming, people are using it every day of the week, and we get visitors from all over Scotland, and there's somewhere for them to eat, somewhere for them to have a drink, and we could even maybe go back down the road to having a professional back in the golf course.
What's up everybody, Bryson here. I'm here to tell you about Dalmuir Golf Course.
And support has been international, with major winner Bryson DeChambeau throwing his weight behind the bids. Ryder Cup caddy Craig Connolly, an honorary Clydebank member, is also supporting the fight and has rallied support from stars Justin Rose and Scotland's current #1 Robert McIntyre.
You would never imagine somebody like that would take their time out to speak about our wee golf course.
It's a huge green space. It serves not just the golfers, it serves a whole community. People walk around it, people take their dogs round it, they've got good relationships with the golfers.
MP Douglas McAllister says he grew up enjoying access to the course and is determined that it will continue to thrive. Council funding will end this month, but the team are determined that the course will celebrate its centenary in 3 years' time with a brighter future ahead. Tara Fitzpatrick, STV News, Clydebank.
To the sport now, and it's Ronnie.
Your window to sport.
C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
Good evening. Shay Adams says there's even more to come from this Scotland squad after they produced an impressive display to beat Greece 1-0 in Athens. Scott McTominay scored the winner as Steve Clarke's men looked to preserve their place in the top tier of the Nations League. But the Scotland boss says the tie is far from over, insisting it's simply game on.
Open. I don't see the game as being closed at all. I was impressed with the Greeks second half. Thought they were good. Their away record's good in the qualifying and the group stages. They went to Ireland and won comfortably. They went to Finland and won comfortably, and they went to Wembley and won. So the game
shows how far we've come as a squad, and then you got obviously Hursley coming off the on the pitch as well. They're playing in the Premier League, so yeah, I mean there's competition for places. Obviously, Katie didn't start today, and that shows how far we've come. And to bring people like that off the benches is massive.
Big win. We had to work really hard for that, especially the second half, to hang on to it. But yeah, great determination shown by everybody to grind out that second half and stay in the lead.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is going there. It's only half time, so to give them a massive effort on Sunday. At Hampden in front of the fans, so it's a game everyone's looking forward to now, and we had 6 at half time.
Neil Lennon says he's ready to bring the energy, confidence and an exciting brand of football to Dunfermline after taking over as their new manager. The former Celtic boss, who joins on an initial deal until the end of the season, has been out of a job since leaving Romanian side Rapid Bucharest last year. The Pars find themselves second bottom of the championship and sacked Michael Tidser earlier this month. Now it's a huge night of rugby action as Glasgow Warriors welcome Munster in the URC. It's a repeat of the famous Pro 12 final which took place 10 years ago this season when the Warriors won their first ever piece of silverware. We can cross live to Jamie Bothwick, who is pitchside in Scotstoun for us tonight. Jamie.
Yes, Ronnie, the fans already inside enjoying the pre-match atmosphere here, and it's a bit of a trip down memory lane as we live that famous 2015 title victory. And I'm delighted to say that we're joined by one of the players from that victorious side, Tommy Seymour. And Tommy, what wonderful memories to relive.
Amazing memories to have, a large contingent of the squad back together for the next couple of days. It's incredibly special. It's quite surreal, really, that it's been 10 years. As often people have, you see old friends again. It feels like, you were only apart yesterday. So a wonderful time, a wonderful period for us as a club and also this group of players. So yeah, a really nice play to celebrate.
And Chris, it was Munster that day in Belfast in 2015. Munster tonight here at Scotstoun. We've got second against fifth, but two teams coming off defeats. What are you expecting from the match this evening?
Yeah, look, they'll both want to get back up and into winning ways. Incredibly talented squad, recent champions, both of them in the last number of years. So like a really fought. Munster and Glasgow have a real history now against each two sides that like to go hammer and tong, and I'm expecting nothing less. So a really exciting encounter for both sides, and hopefully as a Glasgow bias they'll get the win tonight.
Tell us about it. It's a bit of a spicy fixture. It's a great rivalry, isn't it? Tell us about what it's like playing in this one.
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, it'd be hard to sort of pinpoint the moment in which became what it is now, but Glasgow and Munster has always become, I think, a little bit of a notch in the season calendar when it comes out. It's one that everyone looks forward to, and I think it's really down to the fierce competitive nature that both sides bring. Look, they're fiercely competitive on the field. As I said, recent champions, both of them. So look, it's always a fixture that we love, and it's two wonderful sides with a lot of history coming together and playing the best rugby possible.
And of course, the Warriors are reigning champions again, just now second in the table and doing well. Have they got a chance of really pressing for another title in the URC?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm sure if you speak to the squad, there's a lot of belief that they can go and compete for the title again. Leinster obviously doing wonderfully well and sit atop of that by a number of points, but Munster likewise, they fought and ended up winning the final 2 years ago. So look, there'll be two sides wanting to get up and compete for a trophy again.
Tommy, thank you so much for joining us on STV. Kick-off here in the URC is 7:35. It's a great rivalry match, Glasgow Warriors against Munster here at Scotstoun Stadium.
Jamie Bothwick at Scotstoun, thank you very much for that. And sticking with rugby, Scotland women's boss Brian Eason says kicking off their Six Nations with a home game against Wales gives them the chance to get some early momentum going in the tournament. The Scots defeated Wales twice last year, but Eason expects a tight game that will require a big performance from his team in Edinburgh tomorrow afternoon.
It's great to play at Hive Stadium. I believe there's some good ticket sales for the game as well. and to show everybody how far we are progressing is really important for us. And for us to put in a performance in front of our own crowd this weekend does set the ball rolling. It does get you into momentum for the rest of the competition, but we are purely focused on Wales this weekend, and that's it.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
All go in the world of rugby this weekend, John.
All go, and you covered it all, Ronnie.
Absolutely.
Across it all. Ronnie, thank you. So what's the weather going to be like for all that all-go rugby? Here's Sean.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
A very good evening to you. Well, the weather is going to go downhill just in time for the weekend. It's been feeling pleasant in the sunshine we've had around today, especially parts of Ayrshire, around Glasgow, and also Dunbartonshire, Renfrewshire as well. Now, overnight tonight, more cloud outbreaks of rain coming into southern and western parts, and through the early hours that will become heavier as well. But at least we hang on to that milder southerly airflow tonight, and with the cloud and rain, temperatures stay about 7 or 8 degrees at lowest. Now, tomorrow will be a rather wet start to the day for most of us, some quite heavy rain around, although hopefully we'll start to see the skies brightening up across central and southern parts during the afternoon, but we still could hang on to a few heavy showers, probably damp weather throughout much of the day across western parts. We'll have a look at the details. So across Col, Tiree, Mull, Colonsay, Jura and Islay, we've got a good old breeze coming down from the north. Quite cool here as well, 7 or 8 degrees, and we will hang on to rain here through much of the day. Coming a wee bit further south and east into mainland Argyll, across the likes of Kintyre and also into Arran, we still hang on to some shower outbreaks of rain. Brighter weather though, Stirlingshire, around Ayrshire, Lanarkshire, Renfrewshire, Dunbartonshire, Inverclyde, but we could see a few heavy showers. So for most of us, a wet start to tomorrow. We hang on to the rain throughout much of the day across western parts. Brighter skies over central areas in the afternoon, but the risk of a few heavy showers. A bit of a change on the last couple of days. The wettest weather on Sunday, eastern parts here, a little bit drier and brighter. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally tonight, there's been a big birthday in Edinburgh today. Murrayfield Stadium is 100 years old. A century ago, the ground opened for the first time as 70,000 people watched Scotland win a Five Nations Grand Slam against England. And there have been plenty of memorable moments, matches and concerts since. Lewis Mickey reports.
A who's who of Scottish rugby history, all coming together to celebrate 100 years of Murrayfield. The Grand Stadium certainly hasn't lost its magic.
You still get the goosebumps when you come out, and just to see the stadium and meet some of the old players, it's a great experience.
Which we are now, Andy.
Yeah, well, sadly.
In 1925, spectators walked in the gates for the first time to witness Scotland beat England. It wasn't always easy. During the Second World War, Murrayfield became a supply depot. There's been big matches and title wins. 1984, the cream of the crop for John Rutherford.
It has to be the Grand Slam game, 84, because we hadn't won it since 1925, so it was a victory for the country, really.
Julie Bevan is the granddaughter of Jimmy Nelson, the first try-scorer here, and Lauren Cowie, Scotland's oldest living international at 98. The most capped Scot of all time, Donna Kennedy, is certain the next 100 years will be fruitful for the women's game too.
The women's game's grown. I think there's, we've got to look at to make sure that, we don't want empty seats in the stadium. And if you look at how England have been doing when they've been filling Twickenham, we will fill this stadium. I believe we will.
And perhaps a first appearance on the turf for some of the stars of tomorrow.
It's great. It's really cool and a big opportunity to be here. Yeah, it's amazing to be playing. It's so surreal because I've seen people play here and now I get to play.
Quite inspiring, yeah. I was excited to see them.
Well, plenty of legends have walked out of this tunnel in the last 100 years. I'm sure there's plenty more to come, and who knows what the future holds in the next century for Murrayfield. Hopefully, plenty of silverware. Lewis Mickey, STV News, Murrayfield.
And as Lewis says, many more memories to be made. That's all from us. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.